From dark, shadowy entities lurking in abandoned buildings to nursing homes, these are unsettling encounters with shadow people caught on camera. This video comes from TikToker Win McPix, who says in the caption that he was invited to check out a haunted construction site before it was demolished. He starts filming as he walks around the site, exploring empty rooms. He then enters a hallway and mentions it feels much colder than the rest of the place. When he points the camera into one of the rooms, he hears a thumping sound and spots a dark, shadowy figure in the corner. He's audibly freaked out, but ducks back and forth, spotting the strange shadow figure lurking in the room. Then he decides to actually walk into the room to get a closer look, but when he does, the figure disappears. But when he leaves the room and peeks his head back around the corner, the shadowy figure is back, lurking inside the room again. Next up, we have the nursing home shadow figure. Jay Brown, a security guard working the night shift at a nursing home in Chicago, spotted something move past the front desk, only there was no one else with him at the time. In the video, he's watching the security camera footage and talking about what he saw. If you look closely at the footage, you can see a misty shape moving in the corner right past the front desk. It picks up on camera, but in person it must have been even clearer because Brown is very freaked out by what he saw. He just gives this 1,000-yard stare before standing up, probably debating whether to quit the job on the spot and run out the front door, never to look back again. But after a moment, he takes a deep breath, calms down, and gets back to his shift. He says that whatever this thing is, it tends to show up every few months. This video was taken by a TikToker in the UK who'd seen this person walking up and down their street in a nun outfit and one of those suits that completely covers your face underneath. Calling this a shadow person is a bit of a stretch. I mean, clearly this is someone in a costume, but the video is still very unsettling. The cameraman tries speaking to the woman, saying it's not Halloween yet, it's midnight, and remarking how she isn't wearing any shoes. In response, the person just ominously stares at him in complete silence before crouching down by the man's face. The guy wisely decides to go back inside and lock his door, but then things get even creepier. He begins filming again moments later and sees the mysterious nun now standing right in front of his door. Nothing ominous about a youngster playing on a swing, unless it's 3 a.m. and he's basically a black silhouette aside from a pair of glowing eyes. That's a little ominous. So apparently this guy had been coming home from work late at night when he spotted this and decided to stand there and start filming rather than averting his eyes and then slowly backing away until he could safely turn around and run home without a glowing-eyed demon kid chasing after him. Boys found something spooky about swings at night, probably thanks to the opening of Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think if you grew up in the 90s or early 2000s, that one shot just etched into most of our minds. This image was shared to Reddit by Volat Prolpris. Now, it doesn't look all that spooky, but here's a second photo taken moments later. Aside from the obvious lighting change, notice anything in the middle balcony that wasn't there before? Now, on its own, this isn't all that creepy, but there's a story behind these pictures. The Redditor had lived in New Orleans before Hurricane Katrina, but hadn't returned in nearly a decade. In December of 2012, they and their husband planned to get away to the city for their anniversary. They stayed in an inn in the French Quarter and spent their days sampling the local cuisine. One evening, they decided to join a free haunted walking tour, starting from Jackson Square. The tour guide told stories of tormented mistresses, killings, and other spooky stories. The Redditors snapped hundreds of photos of every eerie location the guide mentioned. As the tour came to an end, they snapped several photos of the Christmas lights on the balconies near Jackson Square, thinking they looked beautiful. Later, back in the hotel, they sifted through the pictures. There wasn't anything supernatural about any of the images except one shot of the balconies that stood out. In one of the images, there appeared to be a shadowy figure on the balcony. She hadn't seen anyone standing there when she snapped the picture. Interestingly, the area had also been devastated by 2 major fires in the late 1700s. So did she capture a ghost in this picture? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. notice anything different in these two images? These pictures were taken by Reddit user Lucid Dreams. Part of what makes these images creepy isn't just the shadowy figure that pokes out from the doorway, it's where these photos were taken. Rolling Hills Asylum, a notoriously haunted location in East Bethany, New York. The Redditor wrote, "Fiance took me on a 6-hour unguided ghost hunt for my birthday at Rolling Hills Asylum. These photos were taken right when we began our investigation at 8:41 p.m. I was walking down the first floor hallway past the infamous ramps. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw someone peek their head out of a room. I checked in the room, assuming it was probably someone else exploring. I was alone. I stopped and snapped some pictures after. I reviewed the photos later on in the night and realized I had caught a shadow in the doorway I saw someone poking their head out of. These photos are photos I took. They are originals, not edited at all." Speaking of haunted places in the USA, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky is one of the most famous, and that's where this image here was taken. A Redditor by the name of Pluffo snapped this photo while visiting the abandoned sanatorium. As you can probably guess, they hadn't seen anyone lurking in the corner when they actually snapped the picture. Waverly Hills Sanatorium originally started as a school, but it was turned into a tuberculosis hospital meant to hold 40 patients. After a major tuberculosis outbreak, though, the number of patients grew to over 400. This overcrowding, combined with poor treatment of patients and rumors of illegal medical experiments going on, made for a pretty hellish scene. It's said that between 20,000 and 63,000 patients died here. One of the most notorious sections of Waverly is the body chute, aka the death tunnel, an underground passage used to move bodies out of sight of the remaining patients. This video really made the rounds on TikTok. So a man was filming in his basement apartment. He'd been hearing strange noises, catching glimpses of something out of the corner of his eye, but there was never anything actually there. It was starting to really get to him, and one night, when he thought he heard something moving in his room, he decided to see if he could capture anything on camera. This is what happened. So as he pans the camera across the hallway into his room, we clearly see something standing in the middle, a black silhouette wearing what looks like a cowboy hat almost. The cameraman immediately jolts back in shock, but decides to peer back in, having seen stuff like this before, only to have it disappear a moment later. And that's exactly what happened here. This next video comes from Finders Beepers History Seekers on YouTube. Matt Madden and Andy Thompson were exploring the abandoned Mossley Manor care home in Liverpool. The place had been shut down in 2015. After it came out, the criminals had been hired to work there and residents hadn't been bathed in over a month. While filming their exploration of the now dilapidated building, Matt noticed something strange. At the top of the stairs, he spotted a dark figure watching them. The figure quickly moved to the left, and Matt rushed up the stairs to check it out, but when he got there, the figure was gone. So was this a spirit or a squatter? Either one is definitely pretty unsettling. Reddit user Cookie and Stone posted this image here along with the following story. I've been spending my time at national parks. I, being the history lover I am, stopped at the Confederate Naval Fort McAllister. As I am also a fan of the paranormal, at the offhand chance something showed up in my photos, I decided to check. What I saw was this. I believe this looks like a figure of a man, and that's weird since there were no adult guides with us. It was my mother and my siblings. I might just be getting my hopes up, so I'd like a second opinion. What I can do is give you the facts. No one was in that underground tunnel/bunker at the time. It was just my family and I. And I had them step aside so I could take this photo. The history of this specific location, as that this was the fort's infirmary, which of course housed the wounded and at times where people lost their life. It was used as a hospital and supply area for most of the war. Most men admitted were either stricken with malaria or suffered burns from operating cannons or explosive materials. Officers would sleep inside the structure in the event of imminent naval assault. They preferred its relative underground safety as the open spaces around the barracks and huts. In the same location, a Confederate major general had the top of his head severed by a large metal plate. So, with all that said, I've been your host James. I will catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.